All right, I think we're rolling and we're live here. If I can see that. That is Portland Mercado, the very infamous food carts, owner-operated, um, multicultural yumminess and other really great things. Lovely Arleta South Foster neighborhood. And greetings. Hey, I wanted to do a quick video. I was thinking about, should I do like a cheesy kind of like PSA, little public service announcement? And I was like, the acoustics might be kind of weird in here. We're out on this very, very small little kind of a deck, and it's got acoustic. The wood, it's beautiful. I don't know if you can see that, but it's beautiful. But it also creates a very strange box-like, and you've got Foster 4 lanes, which is now 2 lanes Foster, and then 2 lanes of 70 seconds. So it's very loud. I apologize. But with that said, and out of the way, I'd like to talk today. I believe it's the 27th of March. And so we're winding things down. But what I want to talk about is cannabis. Cannabinoids, sometimes called the devil's weed, devil's salad. There's all kinds of, sometimes 420 you can use encrypted codes, like safety meeting. You ready for a safety meeting? I am the chairman of the safety meeting, and I want to make sure we're all safe. Please come with me. That's what I used to say back in the old days when it was all undercover, underground. But I realized I had that epiphany that we're really getting spoiled here in Oregon. We really have gotten spoiled along the West Coast with cannabis. In particular, the ganja, the marijuana. We've gotten spoiled because we really take it for granted. We think the rest of the country is like this. We think that, and it's not. We have to remind ourselves and our comrades, poor choice of words from me, but our associates, we have to remind them that this battle on the national level is still going strong. As a matter of fact, we have an athlete. Oh man, I'm going to bring her up without remembering her name. I'm so sorry. I'll drop the link into the video posting. We have an athlete that's been detained in Russia strictly from having cannabis oil, little vape cartridges, which have got the oil in them. Russia claimed that treating her like a smuggler, like she was smuggling narcotics. She's in jail in Russia because of these medieval, ridiculous laws. She should be set free. Free our people. Free our cannabis users. Cannabis is an ancient, ancient medicine. I'm not here as your history professor. Do some much needed research and refresh yourself. This isn't about the hippies, weed, and the devil's salad of the 60s, you old timers. One of my favorites is Lionel Nation, Lionel. And he's looking into the camera and he's like, I don't know what you guys are smoking, but that ain't weed. That ain't right. That's messing you guys up. And it's like, my God, dude, we've come a long, long ways, sir. We've come a long ways from the dirt ditch weed, smoking leaves that you guys may have been exposed to, of that skunk lettuce, the skunk cabbage wafting around in the 60s and 70s. Sir, and in Oregon, we led the country in underground cannabis, and we had some of the best in the world, clearly in the nation, underground. Now that we finally, after years and years of battles, legal battles and on the ballot and referendums, the voters have, unanimously, that's not the case, but finally we won the hearts and minds of Oregonians, and it passed. And since that happened, one of the key things that's happened, this is the difference of what we're finding, and people talking about fentanyl's laced in the weed, and you guys are killing people with your weed. No, sirs, ladies and gentlemen of non-binaries. What we do here in Oregon is we test. It's a part of our entire process that we test. Everything that goes on to the retail markets has to have a laboratory. And there's many, many labs that have made some great money on this. But it's also a very needed public service. This is the safety net, is we test. What's the chemicals? Is there fertilizers in there? Is it toxic? Is there mold? All of those things are tested here in Oregon. And I think Colorado matched that, but California, I don't think is doing that now. They should be. We've been trying to pressure them. And I'm not sure about all the standards, and I don't want to misquote it here in Washington. Again, I could actually drop those links into the upload. And the other really important thing is you buy local Oregon farmers, local business, small business owners that are making salves, and they're salves. Okay, so here's the other thing that I would say to like friends or associates or people that I like and respect, like Lionel Nation. This is the other thing I would say, is that we not only test for the chemicals and the molds, but we test for the percentages. So there's a couple different directions you can go. CBD, cannabinoids without the THC, that delta-9 trans-tetrahydrocannabinoid, that's the more psychoactive. This is the type of Vision Quest type of thing that I think is actually good, but it's not good for everybody. And I've seen severe allergic reactions. I have, and I'm not going to deny that. It's rare. And especially people like Alex Jones, who don't smoke it very often, or smoke it at all from what I understand. Now, he's in Texas. I believe we're trying to change the Texas laws so you can do what we're doing in Oregon. The state gets their cut, state gets their portion. You've got to grease the palms of the government. You have to grease the palms of the government if you want this to fly and be a success. This is how you win over the hearts and the minds of those moderates, the moderate rebel voters, if they exist, the moderates, the central, liberal Democrats. This is how you win them over after 10 years of battles, like we did in Oregon, is that you tell them they get the tax revenue, and what we should be doing in Portland is we should be building rehabilitation centers, and my number one priority is to build a dozen detox centers throughout the Portland metropolitan area. Detox, with detox rooms up above, a clinic, a walk-in, and people can be brought there either by the law enforcement or by their own will. We would hope that they would volunteer and have that option and that avenue. I understand it's much more complicated with some of this turbo weird Nazi meth that we're seeing on the streets, because it's not just an easy detox with that. But if we could apply cannabinoids at a high enough level, we can detox off of opiates. We can detox people off of turbo meth. Turbo Nazi meth has no match for what the righteous cannabis can do. So in Alex Jones, I brought up Alex Jones. Let me come back to Alex Jones. It's a red light, buddy. It's a red light. Thank you. Thank you. Go back to Gresham or wherever you came from. I hate people that do that with the kids down there having burritos. Alex Jones had some sort of a business in California this last week. I watch the guy regularly. There's a whole crew with Alex Jones. InfoWars is not just AJ, by the way. There's a whole different crew on there. And if you're liberal or some sort of, let me backstep. There's a bunch of people there at InfoWars, okay? AJ went into California and he admitted on air. He said, I sampled a little bit. He smoked some with Mike Tyson, the famous boxer. And apparently he did a video. I haven't seen the video yet, but he did some sort of an interaction where Alex Jones smokes with Mike Tyson in California. Some sort of thunderfuck. That's not the name. I don't know what it is yet. I will find out. I want to find out. But it kicked Alex Jones' dick in the dirt. There's no other way to say it. He admitted it on air. He was still stoned. 2 or 3 days later. Now, what Alex Jones doesn't know is I'm a regular fan and a regular watcher. I saw Alex Jones' blood pressure drop from his cannabis experience in California that he felt was kind of traumatic. He was expressing some trauma, some post-cannabis trauma from his experience, and this residual. His blood pressure was down. Alex was no longer yelling. Alex was no longer red in the face and upset. Alex was no longer burning and wild-eyed. But he was speaking clearly and speaking the truth, and it was poignant, and it was noticeable to somebody like me. So he was criticizing the cannabis. He was criticizing the weed, saying, man, if you guys are smoking that all day long, you're destroyed. He goes, this is destroying the kids. Alex Jones, he's like, this is going to destroy people. And there could be some cases where it does actually do some issues, you know. And I have seen people smoke so much that there is a mild type of cannabis psychosis. Some doctors would say there's a marijuana psychosis, like reefer madness, right? You know, you're whoop, whoop, you're up on the top of buildings. You can fly like a bird if you want to be a bird. No, listen, reefer madness was propaganda. It's not like that. But there is, I won't deny, there is in super heavy users, there is some different changes in thinking and perception that does happen with people. It's happened to me in the past. Now, not recently, because I don't consume like I used to. That's why I'm all chatty Cathy. If I was consuming the levels, I would be like Alex Jones was for 2 days, which was wonderful. He's been talking about, Alex Jones got so upset and yelling, and I understand it, because I get upset, I'm mad about it too. When you see the truth and you see what the global agenda is, and you see what these people are doing, and the premonitions that you have come true in front of you, it does something to your mind. It does something to your psyche. But Alex Jones, he actually blew up an eyeball, a blood vessel in his eyeball. This was a couple months back. I'm sorry on the exact date. But his eye went blood red, and he was down for a couple of days, and then he was doing the show with like special, he said he had special drops. I could see he was squinting and struggling. I mean, God bless him for coming and still speaking truth to power, as he was, even in his condition and ailment. It's big props and ups and respect to Alex Jones for that kind of commitment. He ain't doing it for the money. That goddamn operation is draining him dry. Listen, I'm not here to make defense of Alex Jones. He was actually railing against cannabis. So this is, brother, this is a video out to you that's talking about there's different kinds of cannabinoids. We know the levels here in Oregon because we test them. We know the different components of the cannabinoids. CBD will not get you high. You will not feel stoned. It's a pain blocker. And this is people that are in pain. I've been a care provider for people that are dying. Back in the day, I used to grow for people that were dying, different MS patients, cancer patients. They were hooked on massive narcotics, massive drugs that were there legally. The doctors, the medical professionals, they didn't like it. It made them sick, the side effects, and it was destroying their liver. I've had a couple of friends die from livers going out. Younger, 35, 40-year-old ladies, dead from their liver, shitting out on them. I mean, just partying too hard. Look at, what's the Foo Fighter drummer, you know, they found piles of cocaine. It was probably like, Taxi Driver. It was probably a scene out of the movie Taxi Driver. Is that what it's called with Al Pacino? Taxi Driver? Just piles of cocaine and mushrooms and drugs throughout the Bogota, Colombia apartment that he prefers Colombia for a reason. I forget his name. I'm not good with the names and the musicians, but again, I could post the link. He's dead. He's deader than a doornail. God bless him. Rest in peace. But why did I ramble on about that guy? There is side effects that takes the drugs taking people out, the narcotics. Cannabis replaces those narcotics. It doesn't do that liver damage. It doesn't do the neurological damage. It doesn't do that damage to the kidneys and liver. It's fatty soluble, it accumulates, And then there's edibles. You don't have to smoke it like the hippie days anymore, where you've got wafting skunk smell and everyone's like, ugh, although there is plenty of that. And you do smell it everywhere you go, and that's okay for me, but people that don't like it. But the point is that you don't have to smoke it like that anymore. I prefer a vape pen. A vape pen is super high concentrated, it's tested, it's pure organic THC refined into an oil, comes in a very thin pen and a little bit of a puff, and that's all I need to help with the pain blocker. I use a one-on-one. I like the THC. I like the sedation. You know, that's how I quit drinking. That's how I've stopped doing a lot of things in my life, long way back, but 15, 20 years, was cannabis. It's cannabis. Cannabis allowed me to sedate, relax, help with anxiety, help with thinking by not causing the toxic issues. Alcohol, I used to drink way too much alcohol for like 20 years. My liver is damaged. I have marbling on my liver. I've got a spot on my liver. And so it's been there for a couple of years. We've been monitoring it. I'm not going to do a biopsy of it because the biopsy, one doctor said, could kill you. But it's just a tiny little thing. The point is that my liver is not in the best of shape. And so cannabis is how that's going to help with my pain. I've got degenerative disc disease. This is all my personal story, but these are stories of people that I've worked with, that I've helped grow. I've helped bring them cannabis, bring them medicine. It's like Russia. She considers this medicine, this athlete that you've got held hostage just for her cannabis and medicine. It's not right. We use this for a healthy alternative to unhealthy prescription drugs, to unhealthy levels of alcohol. I mean, alcohol is a lot of fun. Why would I drink alcohol for 20 years if it wasn't fun? It was a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends. I got married and divorced, 3 times. No. It's not true. But it's a wonderful thing. It's horrible on the body. It's horrible on the neurons in the brain. Creates all kinds of issues. I already had issues with rapidly firing synapses. And I have sleep issues. I don't want to talk about all my health issues. Everyone's got issues. And there's different cannabinoids for different things. There's pain management with the CBDs. You won't get any buzz at all, boss. In New York, you come down from that luxurious 40-floor apartment from New York, boss. Come on down from there. Try some of this. Try some of this legal stuff. There's edibles. You don't have to smoke. Lionel mentioned edibles. You can get, I got family. I'm not going to call them out, but I got close family that went into edibles, got on pain management because they tried it, and I kept working on them for years and years to that stigma, to destigmatize the cannabis. It's so crucial and important to understand that we're dealing with here. You need to legalize this. This needs to be across the federal board, and we need to allow small businesses that are involved, including the labs, including the testing, including the retail, including the growers, let them have a financial banking system. People don't realize because it's still a federal scheduled whatever narcotic, like heroin or cocaine, you can't do business transactions if you're involved in the small business, involved in the cannabis medicine. It's outrageous. The feds could be getting their greasy fucking paws off of federal tax. So, and they probably still are one way or another, but the states deserve and need the money, and the money needs to be used to help with drug treatment. Here in Portland, we don't have anybody that is an advocate down at City Hall. We have a heavy cannabis user seated, but she's delusional. And she's really not doing well, and I want to replace her. And she hasn't done anything for the cannabis industry, anything for the audits of the cannabis. There's a certain amount of tax that the voters of Portland voted to help do drug treatment and drug rehabilitation from the cannabis sales in Portland. It's not being used for what it said it was going to do. what the voters of Portland said and they wanted to be done. Yes, tax it. It's going into a slush fund, and God only knows what it's funding. I'm pissed about it because we found that it wasn't going where it was supposed to go. Nobody's corrected it. We've got some young amateurs that have replaced some seats. We've got a mayor that's being attacked by literal Marxist communists that are trying to blow up the federal courthouse for 6 months in 2020. They're still here in the community. Right over here, I've got some addresses. It needs to be building detox centers. Maybe we don't need as many of an ambitious number as I'm seeing. I'm calling on Oregon Health and Science University. I'm calling on OHSU now. I don't want to call you out, but I'm pretty close to starting to grind on your noodles. I'm very close to make you a target. Not in a bad, legal, peaceful target. You've made a lot of money off this COVID-19. You made a lot of money with KGW pushing these jabs. You've made a lot of money on this corona research. Let's reinvest in Portland. Let's build some detox down below, just like we're doing with the 4 stories, the retail. Retail down below. We've got a pizza shop here. I like it. My daughter likes it. There's a game shop. Retail down below, and then you build the apartments lower income or tax credit, low income tax credit. What they call affordable housing in Portland is not affordable for the people that need the housing the most. This is something the liberal Democrats have not been able to get through their heads. There is tons of vacant apartments in Portland. Tons. It's not affordable. They're $1,500 units. They're $2,000 units. Even $1,000 is too much. Even $500 is too much. They can't, when you're strung out and trying to detox, it's going to take 6 months to a year to do it. You ain't working right. You don't want those people in the work environment, in the workforce, at the job site. You need them rehabilitated. And they want to be rehabilitated. You're not forcing them, you're providing them with the opportunities and the means to take care of themselves and get on the wagon or get off of this super Nazi meth that they're pumping through. CCP is using the drug cartels. They gave them the chemicals to process the opiates into this super fentanyl that's killing our teenagers. How ironic that Governor Brown wanted to ban vape pens. She's successfully banned flavored tobacco, thinking that this was going to harm the youth. This was going to harm the children. Now, granted, I don't want kids. I don't want my daughter. I have a daughter. I don't want her smoking cigars at 10, 11, and 12 years old. I really don't. No, none of us do. But that's not what's killing our children. And you banning flavored vape doesn't save anybody. It doesn't deter anything. You don't think the youth here in Portland and Oregon are drinking in their teens below the legal limit? You don't think they're drinking? My God, what's wrong with you? Liberal Democrats who've got the reins of our city and state. Ladies, please share the power with the rest. It doesn't have to be men, but let's start with sharing the power with some dudes. Please. Men are not the problem. And I really don't want to have to start thinking that women are the problem. But when we've got county that's controlled by ladies, city that's controlled by ladies, state that's been controlled by ladies, all Democrats, it starts to make me wonder the pattern of Democrats and estrogen fragility. That's what I call estrogen fragility, maybe. I don't know. What is that? White fragility? What's white fragility? I think I understand white fragility. Estrogen fragility? Now there's male toxicity, right? That's what I've got. That's what all you're saying right now. This motherfucker is a classic male toxicity. Well, now what about female toxicity? Is that possible? It might be. I think so. Now, fleshing it out what that means, nobody's going to be able to say those words in public. I just said it on camera. You can send all the hate mail to downtown Portland City Hall. Seat 3, Commissioner 3. No, it's a little bit of a ramble. I hope that comes together. To recap, the long extended, a bit rambling public service announcement, cannabis is not the enemy. Yes, there is some supercharged smoke, and there's some corporations that have been involved, and there's probably some GMO, genetic altering happening. I hope I'm still running. But those are bad. It's not good. But there is ways to verify here in Oregon. We verify the sources. We verify the farmer. It's Oregon. We don't have cheap Chinese powdered in fentanyl being sold on shelves here in Oregon. Nor should it be anywhere. Any place, including Texas, you need to write in, it has to be lab tested. Lab tested before it goes retail. Find out what the mold is. Find out what the percentage is. See how strong it is. See what's in it. What kind of cannabinoids. They break it all down. They break down terpenes, the flavors. They break down the terpenes and can tell you different breakdowns of the flavored terpenes that are in the product on the shelf. That's how complicated and scientific it's gotten in Oregon. It blows my mind. I never in a million years thought that this is what I'd be looking at when I go into a retail market, into a shop. And there's a whole bunch of them. Paradise Found is wonderful. I go to this place called Elite, I don't even know. There's tons, they're everywhere, and there's tons of them, and people are making money. That's great, and it's getting the medicine out to people. Yes, some people may have problems, and we're going to have to help them. It's nowhere near the narcotics. I personally believe the detox centers, and then the cannabis applied in those detox centers, especially alcohol. If you sedate someone, it's just like you're giving them lorazepam or some of the other, anything that's a PAN, all the different klonopin, all these different types of, they sedate, and quite effective and quite wonderful actually, except for they can be addictive, except there is side effects, and they hurt the brain. Cannabis avoids all of that, and it does the same thing. You can choose what you need for what the situation and ailment is at the retail shop. And that is wonderful, my friends. So, God bless Lionel. I love you, man. I watch you all the time. And I just want you in particular, you'll never see this, but I want you in particular to understand what I just said. And I hope it makes sense. There's nobody's health that's endangered from the cannabis here in Portland, Oregon. Okay, and the tax revenues can actually solve drug addiction if it's done properly, which it's not here in Portland, unfortunately. We're going to change that shit. And I would love to see a Republican governor step up and say, let's do state-level hemp production. Why not? Why not? We can begin to produce hemp on a level that's never been seen before in the country. We're going to need water, so we need a desalination. We need a pipeline, not for LNG. We need a pipeline, not for fossil fuel, although I have no problem with domestic oil. I do have issues with the LNG, and I do have issues with the pipelines. They want to do crazy shit with pipelines through places they should not be running pipelines. I'm sorry. But I do support fossil fuel on the domestic level. I want to see America at 100% domestic fuel. We don't need to be outsourcing. We sure in the fuck don't need to be buying anything from the trillionaires in Canada and the people that they're doing business with on the globe. Fuck Canada. Fuck the Canadian government. Love you, Canadians. I love you, Canada, and I love you, Canadians. Fuck